Glorious news, comrades! First California comrade Gavin Newsom has increased the happiness ration to 5 grams from last year's 8 grams. Come with us now for the giving of thanks. Hey, everybody, I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, and this is Right Angle, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. You may have heard that California Governor Gavin Newsom, or First Comrade, as I prefer to think of him, has issued a set of diktats about how and with whom and for how long you may celebrate Thanksgiving this year. It's a sad list. You know what, General? I'm just going to read these off one at a time, and I'll get just a quick hit from both of you. How about that? And then we'll wrap it up at the end. First rule of this year's Thanksgiving for our California comrades: your free celebration must be held outside. Bill, let's go to you first. How do you feel about spending your Thanksgiving out of doors?
Yeah, end of November is a balmy time. What could possibly go wrong? We just gather around outside the old palm tree and wait for the snow to fall. Yeah, sure, outside, that'll help. Because if I'm standing 5 feet away from somebody or 2 feet away from somebody outdoors, it's magically better than standing 8 feet away from somebody indoors. And you have just barely plucked the surface of my outrage on this one, so I'll allow you to continue to build up the list here, old bean.
Scott, over there in Texas, you've had your own little lockdown issues, but are you guys laughing at California at this point?
You know, we only recently found out about California, and it didn't seem to be of interest to most people, so we just moved on. And as you bring this up, it suddenly occurred to me, I don't know what the law is regarding my Thanksgiving gatherings in Texas. I have not heard anything from Governor Abbott dictating how I'm to conduct myself. Steve, when you were saying that, it sounds absurd, but first of all, do we really need to hear from the governor at all regarding our Thanksgiving celebrations? Secondly, if he does say anything, how about something like, hey, we all love our loved ones. Let's just be careful out there. Something like that. At this point in the process, how detailed do you have to be about this stuff? I know we have our in-laws are coming. I know it's going to get more detailed, but our in-laws are coming down to visit. And I'm literally thinking, okay, is this going to be safe? I go to work every day in a building that has thousands of visitors, and then I come home and, their in-laws, by their very nature, being older than me, are elderly. And so I'm thinking about appropriate precautions for my own family, but I never look to Austin, Texas, and say, hey, what do you think we should do, Governor?
How do you know what to do then?
No. I'm sorry, Bill, go ahead.
I said, how do you know what to do if you're not asking the governor?
That's right. Well, okay, you're going to know exactly what to do. There is a bit of good news. Your Thanksgiving guests, are allowed indoors to use the bathroom, provided the bathroom has been sanitized. Bill, where are your Clorox wipes now, baby?
I'm not doing the Clorox, man. That's just too much work. I've actually managed to purchase a small amount of plutonium. And I've placed that underneath the rim of the toilet bowl. And I imagine that's going to do the job as far as killing off germs or other living creatures that may come into the bathroom and want to harm you through their nasty COVID ways. So yeah, I'm doing the plutonium patch.
Hey, Bill, when did people in your neighborhood start going to the bathroom indoors?
Way before they did in Texas.
There you go.
I've heard it was on the streets.
That's not the problem. I've heard going to the bathroom indoors is not the problem with Californians.
Yeah,
I heard it was on the sidewalk.
I don't think any native-born Californians have stood up and urinated since the beginning of the settlement of this place.
Now, Scott, is it true that if you put plutonium in the toilet, your guests will end up doing number 3?
Well, our testing on that question continues here at the Whittle Enterprise Institute for the Exploration of Science and the Scientific Arts.
Advanced nuclear physics, yeah.
That's right.
Oy. All right. I love this one. This is actually the home version of California's very popular public dining game. Masks must stay on at all times during your outdoor festivities, except when placing your turkey ration into your gaping maw. Bill, is anybody going to do this?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because it gave me a chance for me to demonstrate to you how the proper method for wearing a mask for California conservatives goes. So I've got a mask here like this. You put it over your ears, and then you do this. Because if anybody were to find out that I come from California, they would, appropriately enough, probably want to beat me to death with a tire iron. So this is how I plan to wear the mask during the Thanksgiving festivities, because there will be video taken and photos and all of these things shared on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want anybody to know I live in California. I'd much rather have them think that I was a member of ISIS or perhaps a towboy in a Turkish whorehouse.
There you go. Also, Bill is practicing very safe precautions
Not
when
Bill,
dealing with the
Mr.
ravenous
X.
bug bladder
Mr.
beast
X
troll.
is provided.
There we go. Scott, are you going to be wearing you have older in-laws coming over. Are you guys going to take the precaution of wearing your masks in between bites?
We won't be wearing masks in the house.
Yeah.
It's tough enough. At the beginning, when you were just running out to Walmart to get some groceries or whatever, it was an annoyance where I got to wear a mask for 15 or 20 minutes while I wander around this store. And man, I had no idea until I went back to work in early May what it's like to go for 7 or 8 hours with that mask on nonstop. It is what made me give up my my aspiration to become a brain surgeon. I just thought, that's it. I'm not doing this. Neither will I be a coal miner or a firefighter. I've just ruled out anything that involves me having to wear a mask for long periods of time. Yeah, it's people will conduct themselves as they believe is appropriately safe. People will also do irresponsible things. People will not be careful enough in some cases, and those people may come into contact with people who test positive, and then some of them will test positive, and maybe you'll even have a so-called super spreader event where a lot of people test positive, and a very, very tiny number of people get sick, and an even tinier number of people will die as a result of such tomfoolery. But the reality is most people are smart enough to not do this. And even if you have to go out in public and hang out among people who are not smart enough to do that, you yourself can take the appropriate precautions to keep your distance from the, run-of-the-mill fools.
There you go. This is kind of out of the blue. Normally, First Comrade Gavin Newsom would encourage the singing of uplifting patriotic songs like the Soviet anthem, but singing is, and I quote, strongly discouraged at your outdoor mask-wearing celebration. Bill, why was that even a necessary thing? Who sits around the table singing at Thanksgiving? Is this something I'm missing out on?
The Thanksgiving anthem. Oh, turkey tree.
I was singing the famous Thanksgiving anthem, "Oh Turkey Tree, Oh Turkey Tree." But fortunately, with the mask on, you weren't able to detect that I was actually singing. So I would just like to say for those people in the California Department of Enforcement that I am at the moment in full compliance, and I fully intend to stay that way.
Excellent.
Steve, can we get masks that actually inflate like one of those frog throats, so when we sing, they blow out like this and then they shrink back up?
Who is a stand-up comedian? Howie Mandel, who'd pull the rubber glove over his head
That's
and
right.
inflate it? Yeah. Yeah, that's what we need. Are you gonna bring your rubber gloves to Thanksgiving, Scott, for the singing?
Early on, I actually, because everybody said there were supposed to be, you needed gloves for some things. So initially I was carrying around a pair of gloves, which I used typically for work on the car. And then I thought, well, what the heck am I going to do with these? There's no use at all for these. And so I haven't seen a latex glove in many, many months and don't intend to. Steve, the governor may be thinking that he is just being prudent and protecting the public health and trying to do the right things so that, he doesn't suffer the political consequences for being irresponsible. But what he's really doing is saying, I am governor of the stupidest people on earth, and they need to be told exactly what to do.
Well, for once, I might agree with First Comrade Newsom. Bill, Your outdoor mask-wearing, non-singing, free celebration may not last longer than 2 hours.
The football game's longer than that.
God. Thank God. There must be a God who loves us. Because I think that's about the limit of what people could take.
Yeah. Scott, I want you to picture loading up your in-laws with tryptophan and then sending them on the road after just 2 hours.
Yeah, it's an 8-hour trip from where they live too. That might be a hassle to do 16-hour round trip for 2 hours in the house. And to do this outside. Now, Texas, like California, is a little bit more of a mild climate. So maybe at the end of November, it'll be comfortable weather outside. And frankly, I'd prefer to be outside if it were at all possible. He has, what's the phrase that your buddy Glenn Reynolds likes to use? The governor has beclowned himself.
Oh, yes. Yes, self-beclownment. I think that would originated with our Aussie friend, Tim Blair. Blair.
Give us the big one.
Your 2-hour-long, mask-wearing, non-singing free celebration, which is held outdoors, must include 6-foot social distancing, including at the dinner table. Bill? You have to get one of those like Wayne Manor dining room tables and stick it out on your lawn. Have you and your lovely bride started furniture shopping yet?
And a harpoon to pass the turkey.
There are good, normally I come from a big family, so we'd actually reserve the flight deck on the USS Midway, which is anchored in San Diego Harbor. And I think we can probably get 72 of us around that deck with 6-foot separation. And if not, there's always the giant elevators that can go down 6 feet and we can separate people third dimensionally like that.
Oh, brilliant.
So I think I've got our bases covered. And as long as there's enough aircraft carriers to go around for every family in California, then I think we'll be just fine on that one, Steve.
Scott, is it at this point that you think I'm actually quoting from the Babylon Bee and not from First Comrade Newsom's office?
It's at this point when I thought you'd be done 10 minutes ago. How many more of these are there?
Please, just one more.
There really is just one more.
Well, go ahead.
All right. Your free celebration that is held outdoors, except for the occasional sanitized bathroom break where you're wearing your mask in between bites and you're not singing for no longer than 2 hours while maintaining social distancing, Bill, may not include more than 6 people or 3 households, whichever number is lesser. How very festive.
Oh, this one's serious enough. By the way, best thing about this mask is I get to sleep while you guys are talking.
How is that new?
One of those.
This one is important because 6 people. You've got a lot more family members than that, a lot more loved ones than that. I mean, it's just 2 cousins and their wife and a child. So this one actually caused me a fair amount of concern. So you don't want to offend people. You want to. How are you going to determine, which brothers you invite and which don't, and whose family and so on? So I found that once that was announced, that the best thing for me to do and what I ended up doing was going to, I don't know, must have been 8 or 9 relatives, I guess, who I wasn't going to be able to invite. And I kind of went over to their houses one by one and just kind of, explained to them what was happening. And I just kind of put my arm around them and walked out back, and then I killed him.
Anything to avoid hurting anyone's feelings this particular time of year.
Because you don't want them to get the COVID.
That's right. Anything to avoid the COVID as well. I forgot about the COVID. I just thought First Comrade Newsom was having a little fun with this. Scott, one of the saddest things I think I ever heard came out of communist China a few years ago. As a result of the decades-long one-child policy, you would have sets of 4 grandparents with exactly 1 grandchild between them, and entire generations of Chinese with no aunts and no uncles. That's the kind of Thanksgiving Governor Newsom is bringing to California, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the invitation list certainly did get truncated, and I think people will adapt. First of all, a lot of people will just ignore it, and then as Bill suggests, a lot of people on the left will actually probably overcompensate. They will do every letter of this new law, and they'll figure they have to make up for the fact that the 40% of California voters who lean Republican, those people are going to not do it right, and so they're going to have to restrict, the leftists will restrict their Thanksgiving gatherings to no more than 2 people who live within a single household, so it'll average out okay. It's another way that Democrats have found to ruin a perfectly good American tradition. Previously, by the way, we ruined Thanksgiving by suggesting there was nothing at all to be thankful for, and that essentially we were celebrating the rape of the Native Americans. But now we've got another reason to hate Thanksgiving.
Steve, I just want to add one thing, and I'm
please.
I'm 100% serious about this. The real tragedy and the outrage here is not that Gavin Newsom figures he can just make decrees like this. The genuinely appalling, awful thing about this is that millions, if not tens of millions of Californians will follow these rules to the letter. That's the part that is the most disgusting and embarrassing thing about living out here, is knowing that millions and millions of people will do exactly what he says because they've become so terrorized and they're so cowardly that not only that, they will insist on doing everything that the government says, including the business of, excuse me, what I'm saying. They'll do that. They will. They'll follow every one of these absurd restrictions. They'll follow them to the letter. Millions and millions of them will do it. Not only because they're terrified about these things that they're incapable of facing like adults, but mostly to show everybody else in their family how virtuous they are and how serious they're taking all of this, and how important it is that we all pull together during this vast pandemic and all the rest of it. And people like us are going to be laughing at them, and not even actually, I take that back. I'm not going to be laughing at them. I'm going to be crying for them. I genuinely am. I really genuinely mean this. There has never been a set of instructions from a government that has been so easy to ignore and so necessary to ignore from a moral perspective. And tens of millions of people right outside that window are going to do every single thing that this man says, and they're going to be proud of it. That's disgraceful.
That is sad. I'll leave you just with one final, very quick thought. I think maybe it's too late to save California, but if we're going to save this country, we might have to let California go. That is your right angle on that, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. Listen, folks, to keep these shows going, we need more members. So if you are watching these for free, please click on over to BillWhittle.com. Click that join button. We'd love to have you on board. We need your support. We would just love to see this week after week with you right there, helping us out, being one of our citizen producers. And that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. See you next time.